So let's talk about the play-in tournament. If you guys didn't know, right after the season ends, the play-in tournament starts up right up afterwards, just so we can get into the playoffs as quickly as possible. The playoffs start literally this week, and the game ones from both conferences are going to be amazing, in my opinion. But now we have to decide who are these people, who's going to be playing these games, and what is going to happen, with these teams. Firstly, what we will have to say is today we have two games: the Pelicans versus the Lakers, and the Kings versus the Warriors. Whoever goes in the Kings versus the Warriors is going to get eliminated from the playoffs or playoff contention, period. So that game, in my opinion, today is the most important game, right? We have a clear chance of seeing these greats go at it, and we're going to see who gets to face the Nuggets today, and then we're going to see who gets to face the OKC Thunder tomorrow when they play. Well, not tomorrow, the day after, well, the 19th, which means Friday. So on Friday, we get to see what teams are going to face OKC and what teams are going to face Denver. What we have to say first, before everything, is that these teams, the Lakers versus the Pelicans, and then the Warriors versus the Kings are matchups which are not going to be easy. These guys have game plans. And especially when it comes to winning basketball games, there are two teams which need this win tonight. I know that the Lakers probably don't want to see the Nuggets in the playoffs. And that's just the reality of it, because they're both teams which, even though they do enjoy playing each other and they do have some good competition, the Nuggets consistently smoke the Lakers, and it's been a thing for a long time. And for any Lakers fans, it's like, I'm sorry to say, but it's like they always get smoked. Last year, they won four straight games in the playoffs. This season, they've won most of their matchups going against each other. And really, the only reason why the Nuggets have been losing and why they lose games against the Lakers is normally because of tiredness or factors that are not just based on basketball. We've seen now a clear inclination for the Western Conference to be a more stacked conference, and for like, even if you win 45 games, it's not enough. So now for the Lakers and Pelicans, it's become, do you prefer to tank this game and face whoever goes against the Kings or the Warriors, or do you prefer to go and take up the heat and beat the champions, or try to beat them in the first round so that you could secure your playoff position? This is a never-ending debate, which I see. Some people even said, like, should the Lakers tank the first game just so they can go up against whoever is in the second game and go up against OKC? I think this is a terrible idea, as even though, yes, OKC is a much easier team to beat in a playoff picture, if you lose to the Nuggets, you were probably going to lose to them anyway. So I don't believe that there is a correlation between playing them in the first round and going to go on to win the championship. If you beat them in the first round, then you're probably set for a championship trajectory. And let's be honest, if the Lakers can't beat the Nuggets, then they were not going to win the championship anyway. Because if they can't beat the Nuggets, then how are they going to go and beat other teams which are also in their same position? What are the biggest questions with the Lakers and the Pelicans game? It's first, how does LeBron perform? This is playoff Bron. We know he's clutch. And honestly, now that he's had time to rest for 2 days, that he's had time to really get his thing straight, we can see him now be able to really put his fist down and say, hey, we need to win something this year, because Bronny's probably getting drafted next season and I'm a free agent and I'm going to whoever gets him. If that is the case, then that means that the Lakers will not have LeBron. So right now they are feeling the pressure of the LeBron maybe leave or the LeBron may be leaving, and it's affecting them a lot. On the other game, the Kings and the Warriors, honestly, this is the most intense game of the night. For the Pelicans and Lakers, they lose a game, they get to have another one. So it doesn't matter which one wins because they're both going to have a chance to win at least one or two games to get into the playing tournament. To get into the playoff picture from the playing tournament. For the Kings and the Warriors, if you lose, you're gone. And the Warriors have served the Kings their fair share of losses throughout last season, this season, and in general. So when we look at them facing off against each other, what we can see is that they are two teams which compete at the highest level all of the time. And their last four matchups, the Kings won two and Golden State won two, and and three of those were games decided by 1 point, literally 1 point. So when we talk about these teams, we can see that yes, at the end of the season, Sacramento won more to Golden State, but those are teams and these are matchups where if neither of them bring their A game or the teams can't perform at a high level, then it's going to be very difficult to progress to the playoffs. For what I do want to say is that Steph Curry is on the Warriors, and obviously Steph Curry is the biggest game changer of them all. He is the player which will get them over the hump. So in the end, through all of this and through everything that has happened with the Kings, with the Warriors, and with their history now that they're building honestly a rivalry at this point, I do believe that the Warriors will probably take home the game because I just don't think that the Kings, unless Domantas Sabonis has a monster game, because that's who I think it comes down to, how much can Domantas Sabonis abuse the Warriors' big man. But if we're being honest, I think that they might win the Warriors just based on the fact that they have Curry on the roster. If Curry loses, and if it so happens that he can't play at the level that he's been, expected to play, and maybe he doesn't have himself the best game, then we'll be talking differently about the expectation for Golden State next season. Then maybe we'll bring up a trade because honestly, we haven't seen Golden State not be at least competitive for the past few years. And now, if something like this happens to them where they have these issues with continuity, reliability, and all that stuff, then maybe it's time to either rebuild or find a new roster around the big three. So that's what I think for Golden State. This playing tournament means a lot more than just a tournament which they get to play to see who wins. I do think that this means if they need to start changing their game plan, if they need to start planning for a rebuild, or if they need to actually get themselves straight. For the Pelicans, this means a lot more, in my opinion. They've tested the Zion experiment, and they just paid this dude hundreds of millions of dollars hoping that he's the future. So if he's not the future, then I can't say the word, but then they're really bad. Like, Zion is the future of the Pelicans, and we've known that for a while. But you made an investment on his health that is something that can only be paid through wins and accomplishments. You cannot pay what Zion cannot give you. And now with these complications with his health, with the way that he's been playing, with the way that he shows up, and this season, even though he's fixed a lot of those issues, we do have to say, like, hey, this guy still isn't the most reliable player which we have in the NBA, and that's just the facts, right? So for the Pelicans, it is more important for Zion to be healthy and to win this game, to get into the playoffs again so that next year you can regroup, than it is for them, for the Lakers, which already have a bunch of vets which don't need this type of accomplishment.